childhood, because the lymphocytes which are produced by the bone marrow, they need to be to get maturation, and they will be run through or they will be primed and educated in the thymus for a while, then will be liberated to the circulation. So this is the medium power of the histological section showing the thymus, the capsule. You see the blood vessels inside the capsule and the lobules with the central pale or light medulla and outer dense cortex. The higher magnification also shows the medulla and the cortex of each lobules. And within the septa, if you see, I wrote the blood vessel. The septa is not only to divide the organ into these lobules. It is a path for the pathway for the travel or for the blood vessel to run through. What's found in the cortex of each lobules in the thymus? It contains T lymphocytes, or they are called thymocytes. And in addition to lymphocytes, there are few epithelial reticular cells, few ERCs and scattered macrophages. So 3 types of cells are found in the cortex of the thymus, which are T lymphocytes in large number and fewer number of RCS with scattered macrophages. And because the cortex of each thymic lobules are crowded with these small lymphocytes, in the histological sections appears darker and takes more stem than the medulla. A small number of lymphocytes migrate to the medulla from the cortex. They will migrate to the medulla, and then they will enter the blood to reach the other lymphoid tissue, for example, lymph node or spleen. Most of immature T lymphocytes produced by cortex die in the cortex. It means the lymphocytes, which are reaching the thymus through the blood vessels, carrying them from the bone marrow, then to the blood vessel, then to the cortex of each thymic lobules. If they are immature and unhealthy, they will die. And the abnormal lymphocytes are engulfed by macrophages. So this is the significance of presence of these macrophages within the cortex of the thymic lobule. In a high power, if you look at the cortex, you see majority of cells are T lymphocytes. These small, densely stained cells, with a few larger cells with pale cytoplasm, ERC or epithelial reticular cells. And there are macrophages which are scattered, which are involved in the engulfing of the immature and unhealthy T lymphocytes. The medulla of the thymus, which is the central light portion, it contains large number of ERCs. So here the number of the ERC with the T lymphocytes are opposite to the cortex. In the cortex there were few ERC, but in the medulla they are large in number. While lymphocytes or T cells are less than the cortex, and this will give this light appearance to the medulla. Very important characteristic feature is found in the medulla of each thymic lobule are called Hassel's corpuscles, which are found in larger number in elderly, and they are formed from concentrically arranged flattened ERC, epithelial reticular cells, which degenerate. During degeneration, there will be deposition of the keratin filaments within the cytoplasm of these cells, giving rise to this appearance. As you see here, a few numbers keratin tube of Hasselhoff corpuscle are seen within the medulla of the thymus. They are formed by many layers of ERCs, yani epithelial cells, in which the keratin filaments are found. Why keratin? Because they are epithelial cell in origin. In a higher power, the Hasselhoff corpuscle are appearing like this. And if you focus on the other cells in the medulla, majority are of epithelial cells. Others are, or they are, the teliofocytes are found in very few number. One more section or image of the medulla of the thymus. Also here you can see the Hasselhoff corpuscles. They are different in size. They do increase with age, and these are T cells than the ERCs or epithelial cells. In elderly, the thymus or the thymic parenchyma start to regress or to degenerate, but will be replaced by adipocytes. So in old people, the thymus is inactive, and thymic tissue is replaced by these adipocytes. And the thymic tissue, as you see, they are atrophied. No more maturation of telomere, or no more activity needed, because most of the lymphocytes have become T, and they are found and they will be proliferate with the other lymphoid tissues. This image shows the two images, one of the young thymus, or for example in the childhood, other in the after puberty. The theory behind why the thymus degenerate or becomes atrophied at the puberty, some of the theory support this by that the sex hormones involved in male and female have an influence on the thymus. So they prevent the activity of the thymus and let it atrophy or become active and degenerate or involution. So thymus undergoes a process called thymic involution. As T cells leave the thymus to populate in other lymphoid organs, and the organs start to shrink, leaving only epithelial reticular cells. And these cells form these Hasselhoff corpuscles. That's why when you examine a biopsy or a specimen from the thymus of the elderly, you find the thymic lobule medulla is occupied by a large number of these corpuscles. Important to know, there are no efferent lymphatic vessels for the thymus. This is one differentiating point between the thymus and the lymph node. If you remember from the last lecture, there are a large number of efferent lymphatic vessels carrying lymph to be filtered by the lymph nodes. But in case of thymus, there is no efferent vessel. This means the thymus is not associated with the filtration of the lymph. It is the site only for maturation of the lymphocytes to become T lymphocytes. So, T cells can enter the thymus only via blood stream. And no efferent lymphatic, so no efferent, to keep it in your mind. I wrote it in the bold, different color. Blood thymus barrier, or blood thymic barrier. In several organs in the body, like brain, there is, for example, blood-brain barrier. In the lung, there is blood-air barrier. In the testes, in male, there is blood-testis barrier. For the thymus also, there is blood-thymic barrier. It means there's a barrier which is not 100% impermeable, but it prevents to a great extent to prevent the entrance of the, for example, the microorganism and foreign antigens to enter those organs or those tissues that I mentioned. So the significance of the blood-thymic barrier is to prevent the circulating antigen from entering the thymus. It is composed from these 5 elements. It is composed of the blood capillary endothelial cells. You know the capillary wall is formed from single layer of flat cells or squamous cells called endothelial cells. This is one. Then, as a rule, each epithelial cell or epithelium is supported by lamina or basal lamina. This is the second component for the blood-thymic barrier. And perivascular connective tissue containing type 3 collagen fiber plus macrophages. Still, macrophages is found in there they are ready to attack any opportunistic antigen to enter. يعني تونات يعني بلاي أنا السنة اللي antigen يبتدرجلو شو جورو ولا blood بنا وثاني تشو أما macrophage حاضرن هو كلامي. So there is perivascular connective tissue in between the capillary and the ERCs, the epithelial reticular cells. So the fourth component is the basal lamina of the ERCs, and lastly the ERCs. So it means 2 types of different cells with their lamina, and in between there is perivascular connective tissue containing type 3 collagen fiber and macrophages. At the center we have blood capillary, the lumen of the capillary. As you see, there is endothelial cells. The nuclei of the endothelium is pointed here, and the basement membrane, plus the connective tissue layer, the wide layer, and the wide layer is containing macrophages. Then we have these epithelial reticular cells with their basal lamina. These 5 elements forming the blood-thymic barrier. Another image shows the same thing. Then, the second important, largest lymphatic organ is the spleen. In the human body, as it's shown in this image, it's located in the left hypochondrium or left hypochondrial region behind the lower 2 or 3 ribs of the thoracic cage. It is highly vascular tissue. It bleeds profusely and it may lead to death if it is injured during an accident or bullet injury. The spleen is encapsulated organ. It has a firm, dense connective tissue capsule, and there is no cortex and medulla in the spleen. And as you see, septa or trabeculae are extending from the cortex to hold the organ firm, and also the branch of the splenic artery will pass through these trabeculae to supply the spleen itself. And from one side there is a hilum. It looks like a hilum of the lymph node, but the spleen is large organ. And the hilum is the site for the entry of artery and the exit of the vein. The trabeculae that are extending from the capsule divide the splenic parenchyma. Parenchyma is being the bulk of the spleen tissue into splenic pulp or splenic, let's say, regions. But they are incomplete division, so they are not forming a lobules like in case of thymus. On gross inspection of unfixed spleen, you can see white spots among the reddish area. These are representing the white pulps and red pulps. So the splenic pulps are found in 2 types, red and white pulps. This is the histological section. You see the white pulp, and they are scattered among another area which is called red pulp, in which the white pulps are found. In general, function of the spleen is divided or classified into two main functions, which are immune and hematopoietic. The immune function is the spleen acts as a monitor for the antigens that are circulating in the blood, and also it is the site for proliferation of lymphocytes, and also the B lymphocytes, when they enter the spleen, they will differentiate into plasma cells. The plasma cells produce what? Antibodies. So humoral immunity, it means production of antibodies. These are the immune function of the spleen. The hematopoietic function, it is during the fetal life, intrauterine life. Spleen is the site for hematopoiesis, production of the blood elements or cells. And also it is the site for removal and destruction of all RBCs, and even distorted RBCs. For example, I mentioned that the RBCs, the red blood cells are, or the lifespan of RBCs is 120 days. شوي الامتحان الله يوقع بازك كده وانا هاخده بس كتير يعني. So the hematopoietic function is the formation of blood during fetal life, not adult life. Removal and destruction of all RBCs and platelets. Retrieval of iron from RBCs hemoglobin to be reused for formation of new RBCs. Two images shows the spleen, capsule, trabeculae. Then we have white pulp and red pulp. And the lower image shows in the higher magnification, you can see the white pulp with central pale region or light region with dark ring peripheral area in the white pulp. And the red or the pink area is the red pulp of the spleen. Let's see what are the composition of the white pulp. They look like the lymphatic nodule of the lymph node, composed mainly of B lymphocytes. So, white pulps are lymphatic. It contains lymphatic nodule with B lymphocytes, and at the periphery of each white pulp there is a branch of the splenic artery called central artery. With these central arteries are surrounded by a layer of lymphoid tissue called pulse or periarterial lymphatic sheath, which mainly contains T lymphocytes. So the lymphatic nodule contains B lymphocyte, while pulse contains T lymphocytes. The marginal zone is found on the outer edge of lymphatic follicle. Follicle, it means nodule. يعني عين nodule follicle, containing different immune cells that are well equipped for starting an appropriate immune responses. Central arterioles are branch of splenic artery. As you see, this is the white pulp. At the center of the light region, there are this is the secondary lymphatic nodule, like the lymph node, and the dark ring at the periphery called marginal zone. And within this marginal zone, there is a branch of splenic artery called central arteriole. Central arteriole, it was supposed to be at the center of the white pulp. بس هو معناه ايونيه يعني تغلي. أدرس central arteriole لنا راستي white pulp قابلة قرانة ويبغلين. The artery itself is covered by a sheet of T lymphocytes which are called periarterial lymphatic tissue or pulse. In higher magnification, you see central arterioles at the periphery of the lymphatic follicle or nodule of the white pulp, and majority of the cells are on the lymphocyte at the lymphatic or the white pulp. Red pulp is outside the white pulp. One more image. There are germinal center. It means it is of secondary type, this lymphatic nodule, and central arterial CA at the periphery. And there are two regions which are called mantle zone and the marginal zone. Marginal zone. They are containing small lymphocytes. Same image or the image of the white pulp. The red pulp. Majority of the stroma or the parenchyma of spleen is occupied by red pulp. They are forming elongated cords called Gilroth's cord containing lymphocytes. So it is a lymphoid tissue in the form of the cords and containing lymphocyte macrophages with the plasma cells. Supporting these cells are the mesh of reticular tissue. And with a rich blood sinusoid network of the fenestrated type. I don't know whether Dr. Shirin has discussed the type of the sinusoids or the capillaries for you in the cardiovascular. Blood sinusoids are capillary but in the larger way, or the large spaces, thin wall, they are regarded as one type of the capillaries. And while they are called fenestrated, it means there is a gap or fenestry or openings in the wall of the endothelial cells that line the or they are forming the wall of these blood sinusoids. So red pulp mainly formed from Gilroth's cord, which contain lymphocyte, macrophages, plasma cell, and reticular tissue supporting it with blood sinusoids of fenestrated type. Red pulp? Yes. This is the section from the periphery of the spleen. Because the capsule is shown here, you see trabeculae, the dark red is extension of the capsule, and we have white pulp, these rounded follicles or nodules. The majority of the reddish area is the red pulps formed from cords. Cords, elongated cords, contains many lymphocyte, plasma cell, and the supported by reticular fibers. In higher power or under the higher power, you can see red pulp of the spleen. It is containing these sinuses, the light area. There are wide, thin-walled spaces filled with blood. And the cells are, these darkly stained cells are lymphocytes, plus the maybe plasma cells and the reticular fibers. That's why the spleen is called reticuloendothelial system. Reticuloendothelial system. Why? Because it is mainly form from the particular fibers. Endothelial cell, it means the sinuses, that is the reason. Sinuses. The white pulse appears like this or acquires the germinal center how or when after it becomes activated. The B lymphocytes inside the white pulse, after they are become activated, when they are the antigen presenting cells activate these B cells, they acquire these germinal centers, then the lymphatic follicles called secondary follicles. Kawata white pulse atwani believe lymphatic nodule يعني follicle وقو شون lymph node هما primary secondary KLA secondary أدر أواد الكوت والgerminal center central light area كيش أبيبا secondary يعني germinal center حتى أو بي cell activation نكاتو دابج نبي أو new cell درس نكا كالدر ناتشي لسكشنية لستينية blood circulation of spleen. This is microanatomy, that's why I want you to know it. It's very important. The spleen is a highly vascular tissue. It is supplied by splenic artery, which is branch of abdominal aorta. And the splenic artery enters the parenchyma of the spleen through the hilum, and then it will divide into many branches. The branch travel through the trabeculae. That's why they are called trabecular artery. كبرانش كان أتشنا trabecular كان ناوكي أتشت السر trabecular في trabecular artery. Then, as you see here, this is trabecular artery. It gives another branch which is called central artery. Central artery which you are not
White pulse.
Yes, at the periphery of the white pulse. So as you see here, the central artery start to penetrate the white pulse. It will be covered by a layer of T lymphocyte forming a sheath called pulse. Periarterial lymphatic tissue. Rasha, America Rasha. Then the trabecular artery, when leaves the trabecular artery, leaves the trabecule entering the parenchyma of spleen, the central artery. Eventually, these central arterioles subdivide into very small and narrow branches called peninsular arterioles. Peninsular arterioles. These arterioles ends with capillary. These capillaries later on they will join the venous sinusoids and forming the splenic vein. Splenic vein جارج كجرته now. I think inferior vein عشان ما نشنيكي ولا نازل الاناتومي بيرنا. بس مهم to أود زاني splenic artery give rise to trabecular artery. Trabecular artery give rise طبعا خويا قدانية. أهم trabecular اللي أنا صد أنا به أمانة برانشة هي. أماني central arteriole central artery central artery when it leaves the white pulse it give rise to these peninsular arterioles. They will end by capillaries. Capillaries joins the venules. And venules, vena كان جدا بالنوع في بيت veni جورا splenic vein leaves the thymus, the spleen. In the human body, all the blood circulation are of close type, except for spleen. It has two types of circulation: open and closed. Closed يعني شيء. تايسبيني كأعتني بسرقي برا الله بيتورشي نقرأ نجتو منافين circulation. نية لهيج organic human body اجتماعي تنها للسبلين دون معنى close ذكر. Close يعني أو كيستا باسمك peninsular arterioles join or becomes capillaries. Capillaries joins the venous sinusoids. Then they will rejoin, يعني many sinusoid joins to form venules, venules, and the venule. Lastly, they form single splenic vein. أنا closer here. يعني هم continuously join together. In case of open circulation, as you see here, yes. So this image shows both types of circulation. The above one is closed type. You see arterioles, it is peninsular arterioles, forming these capillaries, joins with the sinusoids, they become veins. Another branches of peninsular arteries are open, so the blood will be poured freely. بحرية أرشيتنا red pulp. أي باشا أم بلد دواي شو collection أكادوا. By reabsorption through the slits or opening or gaps in the wall of the endothelial cells that lines the sinusoids. أما بكوتما splenic sinusoids are of the fenestrated type. أما أهمية of fenestration أنا أم كنا كهيا. هو recollect the blood. يعني أم خرجان كتيتونا بين الساينس. يستعدي بوتشي مهمة أم أو كلوزا. أما بوتشي قاعدة نفسي كلوزا هنا. بعد زين نفس هاي التيوبسيولا. Cross circulation capillaries connect to sinusoid arrays. The red cells filter in and out through slits in the sinusoid. The open circulation capillaries open into the cords. Blood cells enter sinusoid through the slits. Both take place. The old RBCs fail to re-enter sign. I'm not aware. Yet, the hematopoietic function is spleen destruction of all RBCs, even distorted RBC. For example, people with the sickle cell anemia, the RBCs become sickle shaped. They are abnormal shaped cells. They cannot function well, carry oxygen like the normal RBCs. When they enter the spleen acellular, they will be picked up by or engulfed by the macrophage. Through which type of circulation? Through the open one. Because the macrophages are found in the red pulp. That's simple. Macrophage here. أجر وانا بماكروفيج شون أتواني أم all RBCيانات بشكيرين أم abnormal RBCيانا نقلفك أجر open نبي أجر هاد كلوزا كبير جارش كسيركل كي ترى دائم بردوام وسيركل أكم حكمة كثيرة. Okay, so there are two types of circulation in the spleen and it is unique just found in the spleen. Another image shows the same thing. This is open. You see the RBCs, how they re-enter or rejoin the blood sinusoids again. And the old one or distorted one will be attacked and engulfed by the macrophages. The trail and now red pulp. Oh, that's good. The spaces or the gaps or the slits found between the endothelial cells, the diameter of them is about 2 to 3 micrometer. So the only flexible cells, سيري يعني شنو مهم درسكراو بس healthy RBC أتوانا بيلاتي مرة باشا. So that the only flexible cells are born in the definition of the RBC or the shape of RBC is biconcave, you know, thin at the center and thick at the periphery. And they are very flexible. They can be squeezed and enter through lumen of the capillary. بشرط lumini capillary يعني diameter capillary شوف تريشة diameter RBC. بس RBC توانا بياتي برا. بو أنو شتيت راسي. لبرو أتواني. أم صفة أم في شراب بس لا شيء يعني ل healthy RBC. لبرو أم صفتك دروس بس رجاء healthy RBC كانت يبرم بقرر لنا circulation أواني ترلي يا أمينة وبفان macrophage إنجلتيان okay while the old non-flexible RBC will remain in the core and engulfed by macrophages. Last slide shows the difference between the lymph node, thymus, and splenic white pulp. ليه بو باسي red pulp من كردوا شو كred pulp هيج علاقة بمين ونيا ب cell أو شتان activation B cell أو شتان. يين السل follicle لتشاهي أما مهمة ها هو MCQ يتوا focus. follicle للليمف نود هي لقى وايت pulp استباس مثل وتم journal century أبيض secondary follicle أبيض لثايمس أباسي follicle مثل نعم بس باسي جيمان اللوبيولز جيرنال سنتر هل أبي للليمف نود والسبلينيك بامبا أبي بو شكرا دول ليمفاتيك نود جميعا efferent lymphatics efferent لها ميانا هيا efferent تنها للليمف نود هي بو ويتمان only lymph node is concerned with the or related with the filtration of the lymph supporting meshwork found in all, but more in the lymph node and thymus. Spleen can treat care. And thank you. A short rest, then I will be completing the